Alright, let's start working on another key. I'm going to hit A to deselect, Shift A. This process is going to be pretty similar to the first one. Add in the cube, hit Z, G to bring this over, hit scale, zoom in a little bit. I'm being a little too particular here. Alright, there you go. Add modifier, subdivision surface, bring that up to 2. Tab into edit mode, hit A to deselect, B, bring these vertices up here. Alright, this time I'm going to hit extrude, bring it up a little bit, and then scale it. And then extrude, bring it up to here, then hit scale. So in this case, we hit E, bring it up to where we want it to be, left click, and then hit S to scale it in. E, left click, extrude, left click, S, bring it out. And we're just gonna follow this curve up. Scale that in, extrude up, and then actually while we still have this one selected, I want to come to an abrupt end here. So in the right panel, scroll up to the top and pull up this mean crease. Alright, I'll hit A to deselect, let's start working on the bottom. B, select these, pull them down, hit E and S. Hit tab, check on how we did. Z. Alright, I'm going to switch this to smooth. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so that's the body of it. I'm going to hit S, Control Save, or Control S for save. Hit Enter. If you haven't saved yet, this would be a good time to save. Alright, so this time for the top of the key, we're going to use a curve to model it. So I'm going to hit Shift A, I'm going to go to curve and Bezier curve. I'm going to scale this down, G, bring it a little more into position. Alright, I'm going to tab in edit mode. I'm going to right click on this. If you're not used to working with curves, it's really similar to working with the pen tool in Illustrator or Photoshop. If you're not at all familiar, you can look up tutorials on that, but you can also just follow along here and see what I'm doing. Actually, I'm going to first start with this right one. I'm going to hit G, bring it here. I'm going to hit S. These control handles are pretty large, so I'm going to bring their influence down. These handles influence how this curve's working. So I'm going to right click, hit S, and bring that one down also. I'll hit R to rotate, bring it around. G, get this in position here. So the goal here is to then get these curves to follow this path. So I'm going to actually hit right click on this center one again, hit S to make that handle a little larger. So now we're following this curve. Right click on here, E to extrude, put it about here, R to rotate. Alright, that's looking pretty good. E for extrude, let's go to about here, R to rotate, G, I'm going to move it a little bit, maybe about here, R, rotate a little more, right about here. E to extrude, R to rotate, E to extrude, R to rotate. This one should be pretty straight up. Hit G, Alright, in this case I want to move just this handle, so I'm going to right click on that part right there, hit G. Oh, actually I didn't realize it was going to influence the other corner also. Here though, let's rotate it a bit. Right click on this one. Right click here. Just trying to get this a little more in line. Rotate this. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, hit E. Extrude up to here. We're going to make this a real abrupt turn. Grab this handle. Alright, here. And hit extrude. Going straight across here. Alright, I'm going to hit tab. So now that's the curve. So one cool thing is if you go over in this right panel, you've got some curve options here. So what we can actually do is set an object to go around this, and that will be how we model this. So I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to add in, let's see, let's do a circle. Let's scale this down, G, moved over. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this curve we've got, and we're going to set the bevel object to this circle here. So as you can see, it's now got the circle going around that path. So if I go back into my top view, that's going to be a bit too large. So I'm going to right click on the circle, hit S, and scale it down. Alright, so that's only half of it, so I'm going to right click on the curve, go into modifiers, and I'm going to mirror it. Alright, so right now it's mirroring on the right axis, but they're too close to each other, so I'm actually going to use this body here as the mirror reference to get it working properly. So you can see in the bottom left here, it's cube 002. So right click back on here, change this mirror object to cube 002. This way, you see they're mirroring right up and onto each other. I'm going to pull it off each other a little bit so they don't intersect quite as much to do. I want them to just lightly graze each other in the center here. Okay. And then the top, we're going to connect in a moment here. Alright, I'm going to hit tab, and if this is still selected, I'm going to hit G, and we're just going to get these to cross here. Try to get it pretty straight. Alright, tab back in edit mode. Alright, so now we're going to change this bevel object to give it a bit of it more intricate than just this circle. So I'm going to hit tab. If these are selected for you, you're good. If not, hit A to select them. W, subdivide again. I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to shift click that one, and that one. Make sure you're selecting the correct ones and not their handles by accident. I'm going to hit S, and then bring it out. Maybe to about here. A to deselect. Click that top one, shift click the bottom one, hit S, and bring that out. That's just going to give us a little bit more of an intricate design rather than just a plain look there. I hit tab to go to edit mode, and we're just going to start making some more curves to do the rest of this. I'm going to hit Shift A, add another curve, G, bring it over here, scale it down, hit Z to go into wireframe mode, zoom in here, tab to go into edit mode. Then I'm going to make these handles a little smaller again, so I'm going to right click there, hit S, click, S, click. Alright, let's get this first one into position. Right click here, move this one closer to position. Rotate this around. Okay. E to extrude. R to rotate. E to extrude, R to rotate, Just doing this to get it. It's good to follow just the center of this. It's a good way to not get out of track or off track. E to extrude, R to rotate. Maybe I'm gonna right click here, S to make this influence a little stronger. G, I'm gonna pull this one up a bit. And rotate that. Oh, I'm gonna hit Control Z, extruded by accident. Alright, E, bring this one up, rotate it around, E to extrude, just going around, following the center of this. I'm going to right click on this one, hit S to make this influence a little weaker. I'll do the same here. Okay, extrude. Probably should be able to finish it out here. Rotate around. Scale this influence up a bit. Alright, that looks to be pretty in place. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. Go over to this curve section, make the bevel object the circle. Hit Z, see what we've got here. Alright, that looks good. We've got some spots where it's intersecting with the earlier section, but we'll work on that a little bit later. For now, oh, and also, here, let me tab. Let's see. Okay, might work on this section a little bit more. I think in the reference image, it wasn't so close to each other there. So actually, let's take care of that now. Tab back in the edit mode, hit G. I'm just gonna make that not be as close to each other. Right click here, hit S. I want that influence a little more, but bring it down. I like how that looks a little better. You know, I'm going off the example a little bit, but you also want to make sure it looks good. Alright, so now we're going to add a mirror modifier to this. Mirror, same thing as before, we're going to make the mirror object that cube 2, so it's in the exact same position here. Alright, that's looking good. Let me scroll around a little bit, just kind of making sure things make sense. Go back in the top view. Alright, and we're just going to do the last section here. Let me, if you haven't saved yet, it'd be a good time to save. I'm going to hit Control S. Go ahead and save my project. Alright, let's finish up this top part. I'm going to hit Shift A, add another curve, scale it down, hit Z to go into wireframe mode, scale it down a bit more. Tab in edit mode, G, grab this first one, rotate it around, following the same process as before, scale down the handles a little bit, and scale down these handles a little bit. Actually, let's make this, I'm going to change my mind of where I want that to go. Put it right about here, rotate this one a little more. Okay, extrude. Extrude it up. Goes about here. Rotate it around. Probably have to adjust this a little bit once we add the mirror modifier. Extrude up. Rotate. Extrude. And I'm just going to bring it close to the end, but not exactly at the end here, so we can see what we're going to do once we get that mirror modifier. tab back into object mode, go to the curve, grab our circle there. Okay, so you can see that it's in position there. Go back into our top view. I'm gonna add this mirror modifier, so go to the wrench, mirror modifier, make the mirror object the cube 002. Okay, so those are butting up pretty nicely here. Let's tab in edit mode, right click on this one, and just maybe play with this a little bit. Okay, I like how they just touch right there. Let's go to the top. Let's see if we can just make these match up. Actually, you know what, let's extrude another piece and rotate it around and scale down these influence handles. No, let's change my mind. Let's go back. All right, so let's just rotate this one all the way around about here. Hit G, have a match up. You don't want to have them have the weird effect we're getting here. It is small, but let's see. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna scale this up a little bit until it's matching up nicely without a weird where the geometry is overlapping. All right, let's finish up this key by adding the bottom here. I'm gonna hit Shift A, add a cube, Z, ask to scale down, G, I'm gonna bring it right up to here, scale it down. I'm gonna use a mirror modifier, so we're actually gonna go for halfway on this. Get that about right there. All right, I'm gonna left click right at the edge here, right there. And I'm going to hit, actually first let's add the mirror modifier. I'm gonna go over there, add the mirror. I'm gonna hit Control, Shift, Alt, C. And I'm gonna click Origin and 3D Cursor. Change it from the X to the Y. All right, go into edit mode. I'm gonna hit B, grab these vertices, and we're gonna start Control R to add in a cut here. And we're gonna start moving these vertices to model this. Bring this up here. E to extrude. I'm gonna deselect, hit B, move this one up a little bit. B to select these. Extrude. So you know, I'm gonna go ahead and start extruding down this whole line, and we'll move up the vertices in a moment. So I'm just extruding and then left clicking. This one's a little more smooth here, so I'm gonna give it a few more vertices. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna stop there for the moment. So I'm just gonna go back and hit B, pull this up, A deselect, B, pulled up, A to deselect. So just gonna go down the whole line. This, A to deselect, B to select, and move it. Alright, I'm gonna grab all of these ones at once. Just bring them a little closer. Okay. These two should be about the same, so I'm gonna hit B on both of those sets, so that's two box selects. Pull those in, A deselect, B box select these because they should be the same. Pull them up, grab that, bring it here, bring that up to here. All right, I'm gonna hit B, and I'll pull, oh, actually Control Z. I'm gonna hit E and extrude those last ones out. Zoom out, hit Tab and Z, see how it's looking. Alright, so that looks good, other than it's not in the exact right position. I'm gonna hit Apply on the mirror modifier. We don't need it anymore. I'm gonna jump into my front view here, pull this down. Sorry, in front view, I hit the 1 on the numpad. Bring this here. I'm gonna hit S and Z. Scaling it, making it a little bit more accurate, maybe a little bit more SZ, matching closer to the size of the top. Alright, so that is the second key modeled. I'm going to hit Control S to save. Alright, let's model a third key here. I'm going to hit spacebar, type in cursor, and I'm going to hit snap cursor to center. So now when I hit Shift A and add my cube, it's in position properly in space with the other keys. Hit G to move it over, hit S to scale it down, zoom in here, scale it down, let's get it where that's correctly in position. Tab in edit mode, A to deselect, B to box select, bring this up. You see how this one actually has a little bit of a curve to it here, so I'm going to scale that out. Hit E to extrude, click, hit scale to bring that in. Oh, actually, I forgot to add a subdivision surface. Tab back into object mode, modifier, subdivision surface 2. Alright, tab back into edit mode. I'm gonna hit extrude, bring it to here, scroll, scale it out, E, bring it up, scale it out, E, scaled in, E, click, E, bring it up, scale it out, E, bring it up, scale it out, E, scaled in, E to go up, following this curve, E, scale that. Actually, you know what, I want to hold this angle a little more, bring these closer together, scale that out. Extrude, scale that in. Alright, that's the top part. A to deselect. Let's go to the bottom. B, bring these down. Okay. I'm going to scale it in a little bit here. Hit E. Scale it out. E. Scale it in a little bit. E to be here. Scale that in. Extrude down. Extrude, scale it. Back in, scale that down, or extrude that down, sorry. E to extrude, S to scale. Tab back in object mode, hit Z, and I'm going to change this to smooth shading. Alright, so that's the key body made here. I'm going to hit Shift A, add in a cube, Z to go into wireframe mode, G to bring it in position, scale it down. Alright, tab in edit mode, hit B. I'm going to extrude this up, scale it out a little bit, extrude it up, scale it out, make our way up the center here. And I'm just going to Control R, add a loop cut direct in the center, left click twice. And another loop cut on both sides. I hit B to select these, E to extrude up, A to deselect all those. Alright, so I'm actually going to model this with a mirror modifier, so I'm going to B, select this half, and I'm going to hit X and delete those vertices. Tab in object mode. I'm going to right click on this key by, see what's named, so it's cube 004. I'll right click on this, add that mirror modifier, change the, oh, it actually is perfectly in line, but just to be sure, I'm going to grab that cube 004 and make sure it's in the proper position. Alright, so I'm going to right click on this, tab into edit mode, B, select these vertices, I'll rotate them a bit and move them, hit E to extrude. Right now the extrusion for me is being locked on the Z axis, so I'm going to hit Z to disable that, put it in the position, rotate a little bit, E to extrude, it's still doing that, so I'm going to hit Z to free the movement, rotate, E, Z. Alright, we're going to have a little more geometry around this curve. Just keep moving our way around. Just extruding and rotating. Extrude, hit Z, rotate. Continue going around the key. All right, and then we're gonna stop right here, tab back, see how it's looking. All right, and now we're gonna apply this mirror modifier and tab back into edit mode. If these are all selected for you still, as they should be, hit Control Tab, and click on Faces, hit X, and delete Faces. I'm going to hit Control Tab and go to vertex mode. I'm going to right click and shift right click on these vertices, hit F, it's going to connect them. Right click and shift right click on these vertices, F, right click, shift right click, F, and we're just going to go around connecting these vertices up. Right click, shift right click, right click, shift right click, and F. Alright, those are all connected now. I'm going to tab back into object mode. I'm going to click on smooth shading. I'm going to go to the modifiers, and I'm going to add in a subdivision surface of 2. All right, so that's the key top modeled. Alright, actually I'm going to rotate around here and you see that it's actually too large on the Z-axis, so I'm going to hit S and Z, scale it on the Z, something like that. Maybe let's actually compare it to the other keys. So I'm going to hit S and Z. Alright, let's see what we think about that. Okay, yep, that looks good. Go back into our top view, and that's good. Alright, let's finish this up by doing the bottom. I'm going to hit Shift A, and the cube, hit Z, G, scale it down, scale this down. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier where I made a mirror modifier to make this, so I'll bring it up to half the size. I am going to left click right along the edge here, and I'm going to hit Control Shift Alt C and make the origin the 3D cursor. I'm going to add modifier, and we are going to add a mirror modifier and switch the axis to Y. Alright, now that we got that in position, I am going to, I'm going to tab in the edit mode, hit A to deselect, Control R, click once, and then bring it right here. And hit B, select these vertices, hit E for extrude, Z to free that extrusion, rotate this around. Actually, let's undo this. Let's extrude this out here. Control R, give myself a cut here. Let's actually make a couple. Alright, so I'm going to B, grab this, make it go up. B, grab this, go up. B, bring this up here. Alright, select these vertices, hit extrude. I'm going to start by just getting these top ones lined up, and we'll worry about the bottom ones in a moment. So I'm going to hit extrude, Z to free that extrusion, E, that time I'm going to leave it with the Z, E, hit Z to free it, okay, E, hit Z, trying to make it fairly symmetrical here. Alright, let's go ahead and fix these bottom vertices. B, bring it up. B, bring it up. Alright. The jump from here to here is pretty large, so I'm going to end our loop cut right here. B, I'm going to bring this up a bit because that's a big jump there, and that should be good for us. Alright, hit B. Continuing to just care about, actually in this case, I'm going to, let me see here, sorry. I'm going to bring it out, and this time I'm going to just worry about my spacing and just let it stay with the Z lock so that these bottom vertices stay in position. So I'm just going to E, give ourselves enough geometry for the curve, and then I'm going to put them in position. So just continuing with some B to select, move down, A to deselect, bring down, line up nicely there, B, And now I'm going to extrude and bring it out. Alright, let's tab, zoom out, hit Z so we can see. Alright, that looks good. Go back into my top view, I'm going to hit Control S and save. Alright, I want this key to have a little bit of a more interesting shape to it. You see this key to the left has some changes in the geometry at this part here, and I'm going to add that for this one. So I'm going to tab in edit mode, I'm going to hit Control R to add a loop cut, click once, and then bring it up about here. I'm going to Control R, bring this one about here. I'm going to Control Tab to go into face selection. I'm going to turn it around and Alt right click to where it selects this. Sometimes you may to get a different loop, but if you play with on your selection, you'll get these. I'm going to hit S to scale it. Don't go too far, but give yourself some scaling here. And then I'm going to deselect that, go back into my top view, and I'm just going to select with the, if you hit C, you'll get circle select, and if you use your scroll wheel, you'll change the size of it. I'm just going to go through and select the center here, and I'm going to go to my side view. Actually, I'm just going to rotate around here and hit E to extrude up. So now if we tab, you'll see there's some interesting geometry there which will catch the light and add a little interest to our scene. Alright, so that's 3 keys modeled. Actually, first I want to go back into the side view here. Realize I haven't scaled this down. So I'm going to hit S and Z, scale this down, and pull it into the center there. Rotate around. Alright, so we've got 3 keys modeled. I'm going to only model these ones for you. You can do the rest of the keys if you'd like. You don't need to. You know, the ending scene's a little more interesting the more keys you have. But the purpose of this video, I'm just going to stick to these. You can follow the same exact methods that I've taught you so far to model the rest of them.